Hi, this is Parvez. Welcome to my channel. In this tutorial, we're gonna learn how to create a simple calculator in PHP. Okay, before starting with the actual code, I would like to show you how this calculator will look and how this will gonna work. The simple HTML form, we will see how it is created, but as of now, we will see how this works. Okay, so these are the two text boxes to enter numbers to perform calculation and select operation. These are the radio buttons. We will select one at a time to calculate, and when we click on the calculate button, then the answer is displayed here. Okay, so we will check it. Okay, we will enter two numbers in the text boxes. Okay, so when we select addition radio button and when we click on the calculate, then the answer is calculated and displayed here. So 20 plus 10 is 30. Okay, in the same manner subtraction will happen. Okay, so 20 minus 10 is 10. Okay, so in the same manner multiplication and division, and finally the modulo will calculated and displayed here. So when we click on the calculate button, then the PHP code is executed and answer is displayed here. Okay, so now we will see how to create HTML form for our calculator. So in short, I'll create it. Okay, so for that I'll use notepad plus plus. Okay, so this is HTML form, so we have to use HTML tags. Okay, HTML. Okay, so opening and closing HTML tags. Okay, so what I'll gonna do is I'll save this file with .php extension because this is PHP file and this will have the PHP code. Okay, so let's save it. Okay, so we have to save this file in C drive, and within the C drive there will be a XAMPP folder, and in that htdocs. Okay, so I'll save here. Okay, so the name of this file will be calci. Okay, so calci.php, and in this we'll select all types. Okay, save. So remember, don't forget to save this file in htdocs folder within XAMPP. Okay, make the body, and okay, so within the body form tag will be there. Okay, so form form. Okay, so there are some attributes in the form that we have to mention, like its method is equal to, okay, post. Okay, so what this method does is when we transfer our data from one page to another page in PHP, we have to use method. So there are two methods, one is get and one is post. So we will not go in detail what is post and get. Just remember we have to use it. And one more is that is we have to use action that tells where the PHP code is executed. Okay, so action. So since our PHP code will be here only, means in calci.php only, so we will write the calci.php. Okay, so now we will write rest of the details. Okay, so first is enter first, okay, number. Okay, and enter second number. So this is a simple text. Okay, now we have to take text boxes. Okay, so for that we have to write the HTML code. Input type is equal to text. Okay, and we will give some name. I'll tell you later what is the use of this name. Okay, name is number one. Okay, now I'll take break because I want that enter second number and the text box in another line, so for that I have to take break. Okay, so now here also I'll write the input type is equal to text. Input type is equal to text means that this will be a text box, and name means to access the value inside the text box we have to use its name. Okay, we'll see that what is the use in detail. Okay, and now I'll copy paste the break. Okay, so now, okay, so now we need radio buttons. Okay, so let's take radio button. Okay, so we'll write select operation, and now give some break so that this should display on next line. Okay, button input type will be radio, and name is user defined, so we can give any, so I'll give G, and value is the value of that specific radio button, so I'll give is as plus sign. Okay, so this. Okay, now I'll give one BR to break it, and I want the next radio button to be displayed on next line. Okay, so again we'll do this for subtraction. Type is equal to radio, and name is user defined, so I'll give G, and value will be the minus sign. Okay, and again I want to break. Okay, okay, let's see how it looks now. Oh, first I'll make all the radio buttons, and then we'll see how it looks. Okay, we want only 5. Okay, so in the third, the value should be multiplication, and last and second last should be divisible, and should be modulo. Okay, now let's see how it looks. Okay, so open with Chrome. Okay, so we can see the radio button is displayed, but there is no text. Okay, so for that we have to write text here so that it should display there. First is addition. Okay, now see how it looks. I give just to 1. Okay, so addition. Now we'll do the same thing with rest of the radio button. It, and let's see how it looks now. Okay, this is looking absolutely fine. Now we want a button. Okay, so for that I want one more break here. Okay, now I'll take button here, so for that input type will be submit, and name. Okay, so name will be submit. Okay, so fine. Now let's see how it looks. Okay, so here it is displayed, so nothing will happen on submit click. Okay, now I have to make one place to display output. Okay, so first of all I'll take again break, because the answer should be displayed on next line. Okay, okay, so I take H2. Okay, and should look like output, and here output will be displayed, but I want to give style to it, so I'll use CSS, and in CSS I want to give its color as blue. Okay, so I'll use this, so this will display this H2 tag as a blue. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, okay, it is looking now, our answer will be displayed here. Now again let's see code. You may think that why I gave the same name to all the radio buttons, because here I gave the G to all the name, because I want to select one radio button among all the radio buttons at a time. So one should be selected at a time. So for that we have to give the same name to all the group of radio buttons. So if we give the same name to all the radio button, then one radio button will be selected at a time. So now we have done with HTML code. Now we have to write PHP logic. So for that we have to know few things, like when user clicks on submit button, then only the answer is calculated and displayed here. So one thing is sure, that on button click the logic will be executed. So for that we have to write one condition in PHP. Okay, so we'll go one by one, and okay, so let's see. Okay, I would like to write PHP code. At the top of you have to write the syntax of PHP. Okay, okay, so this is the syntax. So this is the opening and closing of PHP tag and inside this the PHP logic will be there. Okay, so first of all what I said that on button click the code will be executed. So for that we have to write one if condition. So in if condition there will be a condition which will check if the button has been clicked or not. If button is clicked then only the answer should be calculated and displayed. Now we have to see few more things like user must enter some values in the text box and that values must be numeric, otherwise the answer will not be calculated. Because think what if user does not enter anything in the text box and click on submit, then what should be the answer? Nothing, because there is no operands in this. So for that we have to enforce the user to enter numeric values, and user has to enter something and that something in the text box must be numeric values. So for that we have to write again one more condition, if, to check whether there is some values and that values is numeric or not in the text box. If user does not enters any numeric any value or any numerical value, then the else part will be executed, and that else part will contain one error message, so that we will see later. So the first thing is for button click and second thing is to check whether user has entered anything or not. If entered then whether it is numeric or not. Now this, okay, now again think what if user enters a numeric value in these two text boxes but does not selects any one of the operation. So let's say user have entered 5 here and 4 here and some click on submit, then how computer would know that it has to be addition or subtraction or multiplication? So in short user has to select one of the radio buttons to perform the operation of these two numbers. So for that we have to again write one more if, so to check whether the user has been selected any one of the operation or not. So for that again if, to check. Okay, now again it will have else part to give the validation error. Okay, now we will implement each if. So first if is to check whether the button is clicked or not, because calculation will happen on button click. So for that we have to write one function is set. So as its name suggests that is set, so it returns true and execute the if condition when it is set. So we have to check for button whether the button is set or not. So there is one variable called $_post. So now here we will enter name of the button which is submit. Okay, so okay, let me tell you what does it means. Okay, so $_post submit means it will take some value of the submit button. So since the button is clicked, so that means is set property will return true because the value is set, because it is clicked, so it will go inside of it. Now second if, to check whether this text box are filled with some values or not. If it is filled then it must be numeric. So we want to check whether the text box contains numeric value or not. So for that PHP has some inbuilt function called is_numeric. Okay, okay, so to check, okay, so it will, we have to check for both of the numbers. So we will check for both of the numbers, so we have to use AND condition because both of the number must be numeric. Okay, so is_numeric. Okay, and we have to pass some parameters in it because we have to pass variables in it. So we will store those numbers in one variable, so we will call those variable will be num1 and num2. Okay, num1 and num2. Okay, dollar symbol is used to define it as a variable. So with all the variables there will be a dollar symbol. Okay, so now we want to store the values of these text boxes into those variables. So for that we have one global variable in PHP called as $_post, and inside it we have to mention the name of the component. So name of the component is number one of that text box. So uh, copy, and here we have to paste it. Okay, so so dollar underscore post variable is used to access the value of the whatever parameter we put inside it. So like we have put number one name, so this dollar num1 variable will store the component's value where the name is num1. So in this case text box has this text box has the name as number one, so value of this text box will be stored in num1 variable. So we will do the same thing with num2, but in this case the name of the text box is number 2. So this, so the values of these two text boxes will store in variable num1 and num2. Okay, so now we have both the numbers. Now we have to select the this operation, and we want to store this operation on one variable. So we will do that later. So first we will see, yeah, so number. So we have to now we have to check that whether these two values are numbers or not. That dollar num1, the variable num1 and num2 ha has the numerical value or not. So in this we have to put the variable name. Okay, so this variable is numeric or not. If both values are numeric, means both the variable has the numeric value, then it will go inside of this. Okay, now on a button click we will go inside, and now this if will check whether it is numeric or not. If it is numeric, now we have to see whether user has selected any one of the radio button or not. So for that we have to again use is set to check whether that radio button is set or not. So is set, so again we will use the post method, dollar underscore post, and here we will give parameter as radio button name, because at least one of the radio button should be selected among these, so which has name G. So this will return true if one of the radio button is selected, then it will return true, and inside this the code will be executed. So now after user selects radio button, then that respective operation should be performed. So now we have to take that operation, whether it is addition, subtraction, multiplication, or whatever it is. So we will store that operation in one variable. So we will give the name of the variable as operation is equal to, again we will use the same method, dollar underscore post, yeah, to access that value of the radio button. So we have to put the name G. So whichever radio button is selected from these, that respective value will be stored in the operation. Since in the HTML form we use post method, so we have to use dollar underscore post. We can also use dollar underscore request. Both have the same meaning. Both will gonna work to access the value of HTML form. Okay, now we have two numbers and we have operation. Now we want to perform that respective operation. Now let's back to the form. Oh sorry, I have made one mistake. The line 9, where is that? This is line 9. What is the mistake? Okay, now it should run. Okay, let's see whether it is running properly or not. Chrome. Okay, so here again I have to mention localhost. Okay, now it is working fine. Now we have stored the operation, whether whatever user will select. If user selects addition, then the addition's value is plus, so this will store in operation variable. If user selects subtraction, then the value for subtraction is minus, so this will store here. Okay, so we have now both the numbers, we have the what operation we need to perform. Okay, so before writing to the calculation, I would like to give the else part. Okay, so first of all this else. So if it is not numerical, then this is else part. So if it is not numerical, we will display a error message that please enter numeric values only. Okay, and if it is not, and this is to check whether the radio button is selected or not, then if it is not selected, then we will again display a error message. Check whether the value is addition. If we have to perform the addition of both the variable. If it is subtraction, if user has selected subtraction, then it should be like variable 1 minus variable 2, and if it is multiplication, then we have to perform the multiplication operation. So now for that we will use the switch case to implement that. Okay, so switch we would to switch with this operation, because we want to perform the operation calculation on the basis of the operation. Okay, so this, I hope you already know what is switch case. If you don't know, then please search on internet and learn it. Okay, so switch case. Okay, so in the first case, let's say the first case is plus. Let's say the user has selected addition, then the value in the operation will be plus. So for this case we have to perform the operation. So what we have to perform is, we will take one variable again that will have name as result. So we're gonna store the operation in result variable. Okay, so it will have what, for addition we have to add both the numbers, so it will be $num1 plus $num2. Okay, oh sorry, this will be plus only. Okay, this should come here. Okay, and finally break. Okay, and as I said that whenever you use variable in PHP, you have to write dollar symbol, otherwise it will show an error. Okay, so this is break, and we have to use the break, because if we forgot to write break, then all the other cases will also execute. So that we don't want. We want to execute one case at a time. Okay, we will see case for subtraction. Let's say user have selected subtraction. Now the operation variable will have the value of subtraction, that means minus symbol. So now the case will be minus symbol. Now again we will store the result answer in result variable, and now we will perform subtraction. So for that it should be like num1 minus $num2. Okay, and now again break. Okay, we'll have 5 cases, so we have to write it 5 times. This is 4. Okay, now fine. On the third case, what we will do is, we will do for multiplication. So in multiplication, okay, now multiplication, yeah, and after that will be division. Okay, and okay, so this will also have division, and this will have modulo. Okay, so whatever user selects from these operation, then that respective value will be stored in operation variable. If okay, if that operation has plus value, then it will execute this line. If it is minus, then it will execute this line, and so on. Okay, we stored the answer in result variable, so now it will calculate whatever user selects. Now we want to display the answer here, the right of the output. So we have to write the display code, the right of this. Here we have to write it. So again we have to write the PHP code here. Okay, because we want to display the result here. Is used to display in PHP. Okay, now what we want to display is result now, and semicolon. Okay, I hope this will gonna work properly. Oh sorry, unexpected, where it is line number 16. Oh sorry, this should be num2, that is why it is showing error. Okay, now let's check it. Okay, again it is showing error. Let's see what it is. Oh sorry, that dollar should be not there. Okay, now let's check it. Okay, uh, on the first time this is showing undefined variable. We will solve this error later on. So first I would like to check whether our code is working or not. For that I would like to give two inputs to check the output. Okay, so let's give it. Okay, okay, let's add it and click on submit. Okay, the answer is correct, but it is showing one notice and one warning, and this is one problem, and the previously it was showing this, so this is another problem. So we will solve both the problems now. So for that we have to write one function called initSet. So I would like to write this function, and it takes two parameter. Okay, and okay, so this is, as its name suggests, that it is showing that the display error. So we don't want to display any error, so we'll pass the second parameter as 0. So initially it won't display any error. Now we will run it and we'll see whether it is working or not. Okay, now you can see that it is not showing that error. Okay, now let's do one calculation. Okay, now I'll do multiplication. Okay, it is 200, and okay, let's check it again. 60 more 20, now it should show 0. Okay, now it is fine. Now one thing you will notice that the value in these text boxes are not retained in this, so that we have to do. So for that we have to write one code in this text boxes. Like one attribute is there called as value, so that defines the value of the text box. So for that we have to write one code of PHP inside this. So what we have to do is that when this page loads on the first time, there will be no value in text box, but once user enters something and select any operation and perform operation, then after that means second time there should be value in text boxes. So for that we have to again use PHP inside it to check whether the value is there or not. Okay, so we have to use PHP to store the value. Okay, so one thing you can see that when we click any values in it, and when we select any operation and when we submit, then the value of these two text boxes are stored in these two variables. Okay, so on the first time we does not enter any value on the very first time, so the value will be nothing in these two variables. So we want to retain the values in text boxes. When there will be some values, we will check whether these two variables are set or not. If these two variables are set, then the value of this variable should be assigned to the text box. Okay, so for that we should use the PHP code inside it. Okay, so first write the syntax PHP. Okay, now we have to check if condition. If, then I'll make body first. Yeah, it's if's body. Okay, now we want to check if the value of, if the variable is set, if there is some value in the variable, then that variable's value should be assigned to that text box. Okay, so for is set, okay, I will check the num dollar num1. Okay, dollar num1. Okay, now if we now we will echo it out there, dollar num1. Okay, so PHP if is set, then the value is assigned to the text box. Okay, we will do the same thing with the second text box. I'll explain again, but first let's see whether it is working fine or not. Okay, okay, now run there. Yeah, okay, it's 20 plus 69. Okay, now let's divide it. Now it is working absolutely fine, and the value is retained in the text box. Now, okay, I'll explain it. Okay, now we want to check it whether that variable has some value or not. If the variable has some value, then the variable's value should be written in this text box. So we are checking that is set. By using is set property, we are checking whether the dollar num1 has some value or not. If it has some value, then that value should be echo. So in the echo statement, it will echo in the text box only. So this will come on the text box. In the same manner with the second variable, this will happen again. If there is some value in this num2 variable, then this will be echo out here. So and since it is in text box value, so it will echo here. Okay, now it is fine. Okay, it is working fine. Okay, this is 20, and yeah, okay, let's check it by giving random numbers. Okay, this is fine. Okay, thank you.